Hello everyone, welcome to another live session for our Nabard exam. I'm Hansa Nora Sangma and I've been your mentor for your Nabard exam 2020 for the Agriculture Rural Development section. Right, so for today I've chosen a topic, a very important topic on water resources. Okay, so we have like under water resources, we have different kinds of irrigation methods, right? So in as you can see in the previous phase one exam, a couple of questions, like 2 3 questions came from the irrigation or from this topic as well, right? So for today, should we just wait for someone, or let's just start off after like a minute or so, right? So let me just, before doing that, let me just get ready with some things. Right, Nilesh says good evening, good evening. Hello. Hello. So I haven't been able to do any more live sessions last week because I was out of town, and then Anuj sir had to fill in for me, and I think he really did a really great job. So I think I should give a hats off to him as well. So okay, should we just start? Let's just start off with our first question, all right? Okay, please. Okay, before that, let's just don't forget to subscribe and please press the bell icon to get more notifications. And if you like the session as well, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and please do share with your friends. And whoever's giving, just maybe share it with your friends right now so that they can just come in and join us for this session together, right? Okay. Let's just go start off with our first question for today. Our first question here says sub-irrigation method is used in areas with, so let me just start off with a timer for you all. The timer, I'm going to give a timer of 1 minute. Let's start, and you can start off with your answers. I think we can just keep it for maybe 30 seconds, right? Or if you guys want to change the timer, you can tell me. Okay, we're starting to get answers. So Nilesh is saying flat terrain. Shushant is also saying A, which is high water table, right? So Harsh is also saying flat, and okay, let me just stop the timer. All right, so the right answer for this is actually B, which is flat terrain. All right, so let me just tell you what this about the something about the irrigation methods. All right, so basically irrigation methods are divided into 4 groups. The first one is the surface method. The second is subsurface method, as you can see here. Third is sprinkler. The fourth one is the drip or the trickle irrigation method. Under the surface irrigation method, we can further divide it into flooding, border, basin, and furrow. Let's just roughly understand what this surface irrigation method is, right? So the surface irrigation method is one of the most common and the primitive, and it's widely used by all of the people around, right? And these basically, as the name suggests, surface. So a land, or a land, all right, and the water is right above the surface of the land. So the water is flooded or usually given in such a way that it's held by the gravity of the water, and it can in this way, the irrigation is done, right? And so here the water is mostly moved by the capillary movement of the water. By the movement is usually lateral or the upwards, but it won't be as submerged as it is. So it's just going to be right about the level of the land, right? So here the water is basically the soil. For example, I'm sorry, the soil is the growing medium for all these plants, right? And these plants, they basically follow these or hold the soil or the water through this, and then the the plants, they basically just take in the water from here. Okay, so some of the most advantages or the disadvantages of this, maybe it's usually a very easy, and it can be usually taken up by anyone. That you don't really need a much of a technical knowledge, so it's much more adapted by the farmers. Okay, and these are less intensive, and but then some of the disadvantages can be it's less efficient. We A lot of water will be lost as well. Okay, and other than that, we have waterlogging chances can be also high. So remember this: waterlogging and soil salinity chances can also be high, because these surface method is usually performed in a very low lying area where there's going to be high chance of these heavy clay materials, right? And in that way, their waterlogging can be high. Okay, so let's just move on quickly. So the surface irrigation, it is best suited for two types. Okay, the first one is the flatland slopes, and the second one is the medium to fine textured soil types, which promote the lateral spread of water down the furrow row or across the basin. So these are the types, or the types suited best for the surface irrigation, right? So let's just go to our next question. I'm just going to start off with a timer. And the question here is on the micro irrigation, is also known as, the options are given here. Please start answering your question, answering the questions. And it's a fairly easy, so I think it's going to be much more, you may be able to answer this quickly as well. So I'm just going to give you another few, maybe 10 or 15 seconds. So we're starting to get answers for here. Anurag is saying, Aniket is also saying B, B. We have Shubham is saying E. Nilesh is saying A, and Anurag is saying A, and Nilesh is saying localized. Nilesh is like A. Okay, and Herschel is saying localized. A. Shubham is saying E. So, right, so we have just like about 10 seconds. Let's just wait for it to finish. All right, so the right answer for this is actually A, which is localized irrigation. Okay, so let's just roughly understand what this micro irrigation is. So micro irrigation, it is defined as the frequent application of water in small quantities of water directly above or below the soil surface, and it is usually applied in a very discrete and meticulous manner, and it is a continuous drop or the streams through emitters placed along a water delivery system. So this micro irrigation can have different types of systems under this. We have drip irrigation as well as the sprinkler irrigations. Other than that, also we have certain kind of irrigation systems like the jet irrigation systems and all. But then these are the most common ones. Okay, so let's just understand what this micro irrigation is. Micro irrigation is, just ask anyone, it is also known as like a drip irrigation. It is also known as the low pressure irrigation, where the main aim for this is to use water and the fertilizers efficiently and mostly save it. Okay, so in other irrigations we just flood the water, and that way a lot of water loss is there, right? But then through these micro irrigation systems we can save water as well as the fertilizers. So that's the main aim, and these also acts as an advantage for these micro irrigation systems. So it is most common followed in the sandy or the loamy soils. All right, and here I've given two advantages as well as a disadvantage for this. So let's just read what are the advantages of it. Okay, so this water saving, as I've told, and which gives a higher yield. Okay, so in this micro irrigation, what it does is that it's a pinpoint water is dropped right at the root zone, and and by using efficient lesser water quantity but more efficient use of this water, in that way the yield also is higher. So the high quality and increased fruit size can be seen as well, suitable for all type of soils, right? But mostly suitable for the loam or the sandy soils, as I've said. And it's an easy method of fertigation and chemication, saving in labor and field preparation. All right, so disadvantage here can be, just give me a moment. So the disadvantages: high initial investment, clogging of the emitters. So emitters will be like maybe the pipelines or where the water comes out from. Okay, so there might be chances of particles like small sand particles or dew and maybe algae formation out there. So in that way, it might clog the emitters. Okay, so possible damage on system components due to animals, etc. So these are some of the disadvantages, and these can be micro irrigations are most common in the orchards. Okay, we can use mostly for the horticulture crops. For example, just make it into broad term. So horticulture crops, these are mostly used, and it can be also used in like those turfings. If you can see, if you just go out anywhere, you can just see like those ornamental gardens, right? So in that way, we use mostly sprinkler irrigation because sprinkler irrigation acts as a rainfall, and it can uh, it can actually spread to a larger area, right? And it also, what one advantage that I forgot is that it also helps in reducing the water runoff as well. Okay, and these are some of the advantages, and it also can be used in, okay, let me just, it can be used in these environmental remediations or ecological restoration as well. And yeah, so these can be used in a lot of variety of orchards. Yes, Vikas is saying or orchards, herbs, and shrubs as well. Yes, definitely that's right. Difficulty in field operation takes, exactly, even that's right. So a lot of difficult. We need more of a technical knowledge for that, and operations are also, yes. Nilesh is completely right. It's also difficult to do so. Um, okay, let me just stop for now, and then let me just. Do you have any idea when will Nabard pre-result be out? Yeah, so I don't really know when the results will be out. So we haven't gotten any, but most probably they're saying March. So we don't really know the exact time or the date for the results. So let's just, if we have, is there any way? Yes, of course we're gonna have this PDF of this session as well. Okay, so here in this picture, I've just given a, for your clear idea, I've given an picture for drip irrigation here, and here it's a sprinkler irrigation, right? So here, as you can see, usually, I'm just gonna rough idea for you all, general knowledge. The um, the point where the water outlet is usually in 1 feet, okay, and this usually done as according to the spacing of the plant. So in that way, it's uh, point to point drop of the water can be gathered around the root zone of the plants. And here, in this other picture, it's of the sprinkler irrigation. So basically, this is the nozzle, and the water pressure, it gets pumped up, and it's the water is, it's thrown out in the air, and it drops like in a rainfall. So as a rainfall, so this is basically it resembles a rainfall. So that's just a basic idea for you all for sprinkler irrigation, right? So let's go to our next question. Our next question here is the, let me just start off with the timer, and let me just read the question. So the water utilized by plant is available in soils mainly in the form of, the options given here are capillary water, number B is chemical water, number C is gravitational water, number D is hygroscopic water, and number E says none of the above. Can you please just answer for this? The timer is on. Nilesh is saying hygroscopic. Shushan says A, which is capillary, and Anurag is saying D. Vikash is saying gravitational capillary. We have, till now we have 3 capillaries. All right, so the right answer for this is capillary water. All right. So let me just explain to you what this capillary water, these different types of, where do I put this? Let me just put it here. Okay. All right. So anyway, the first one, hygroscopic water. We need to understand what these different water systems are, these are actually physical classification of the soil water. Okay, so basically they're divided into three: hygroscopic, capillary, and gravitational water. Right, so hygroscopic, these are mostly found in the soil particles, fine soil particles in this. Let me just show the diagram here. These soil particles, these are found in the soil particles in such a way that these are, they do not, like, they are unavailable for the plant to absorb the water from this particle, since the particle is so small that the roots cannot absorb it. Okay, and let me just read it out for you all. It forms a very thin film surrounding soil particles and is generally not available, okay, for the plant. These type of soil water is bound so tightly to the soil by the adhesive properties that very little of it can be taken up by the plant roots, right? And yes, exactly. Neelaceous hydrochloric is also in a vapor form, right? And we have capillary water. Let me just hold on. Capillary water, these are, I don't know what is, something is really wrong with this. Okay. Capillary water is a water which is held in the micropores of the soil and is a water that composes the soil solution. It is held in the soil because the surface tension properties we have, which is cohesion as well as adhesion of the soil micropores, are stronger than the force of gravity. Okay, and the third one here is a gravitational water. Gravitational water, as the name suggests, just give me a moment. As the name suggests, is the water, the free water movement of the soil by the source of gravity. So here you can just see here that all the water just flows down due to the gravitational force, and then none of the water is available for the plants to absorb. So the capillary water is the most it's a form of water which is available for the plant roots to absorb. Okay, and here, as you can see here, there's two terms here given, which is fill capacity as well as the wilting point. So what is wilting point? Wilting point is nothing but a point where the soil moisture level at which the plants, they start to wilt. Okay, so these, at this point, the wilting point, below this the wilting point will start, but at this point is a perfect time where the plants won't start wilting. And here the fill capacity is the soil moisture which is held by the soil against the gravitational force. Okay, so these are the terms for these wilting point and fill capacity. So I hope you guys are clear with this. Let me just go to another question. So our fourth question here is, which of the following irrigation pump is used to raise or increase the pressure of the water? So your time starts now. Yes, exactly. So this gravitational water is basically, okay, let me just, while you guys think, let me just explain more about this gravitational water. Roughly, hygroscopic water held by the small particles, the capillary water held by the micropores, and the gravitational water, these are held by the macropores in such a way that it doesn't become really available for the plants. Okay. So we have started to get the answers again. We have Anurag Kumar, which is saying C, centrifugal pump. Okay, and we have Nilesh saying A, which is a jet pump, right? And we have Shushant, kind of obvious, jet. Okay, Nilesh, jet pump. I don't know what you mean, Shushant, by kind of obvious. Anyway, so Herschel is saying jet pump. All right, so time is up, and let me just close it. And the right answer is actually not jet pump or oh yeah, it's not actually jet pump or a centrifugal pump. It's actually a booster pump. Okay, as the name suggests, boost. So boosting or increasing the pressure. Okay, so let me just go to another slide and explain to you. Right. So okay, so there are different types of this irrigation pump. Okay, the main ones are displacement pump, submersible pump, centrifugal pump, jet pump, floating pump, and booster pump. So here I've given, excuse me. So here I've just given something about the booster pump, what a booster pump is. A booster pump, these are different types of pumps, which they don't take water from the non-pressurized source, and they move the water into a location instead. So they use by boosting or increasing the water pressure of the water that is already on somewhere. Okay, so these pumps are used to boost the water pressure. So I hope it's more, yeah. So so I hope it's more clear for you all now. So let me just roughly to tell you what these other pumps are. Okay, so displacement pump, as the name suggests, displacement is changing the location, right? Displacing the location. So as you can see, maybe if you've been to villages, maybe, or maybe if you have seen in the movies, you must have seen a levers or the hand pumps, right? So those are these displacement pumps. But I think that will be like will make it more easier for you all to understand. A submersible pump here, these are pumps which are usually installed under the water. Okay, so maybe they can be pumped up through an electrical motor, right? So centrifugal, as I think all of you guys know what centrifugal is. Centrifugal is when you pump is when you actually spin with the help of an impeller rotating device, and this rotation creates a centrifugal force, and this centrifugal force will in turn help in the pumping of the water from the source, right? So that is centrifugal pump. And the jet is the pump. It's usually it's mostly common in the well. So the pump will be dropped in the well, and with the power cord and the wire pipe. Okay, so this is a jet pump. And towards okay, so here in this floating pump, it is attached to the bottom of the float, which is anchored to the river or the ponds or anything. So from there it can be directly pumped, right? So these are types of the different types of the irrigation pumps. Okay, I hope it's all clear for you all. Let's just go to our fifth question. Our first question here is a total depth of water required by a crop during the entire period of the crop in the field is known as. Your time starts here. Think properly, and it can be a bit tricky, this question, so just uh, answer it carefully. Okay, Nilesh is saying delta. We have B, we have catchment as well. Vikash is saying yup again. I don't understand what is yup. Dave is saying B. Aniket is saying A. Ashi says delta. We have catchment. A lot of confusion between the catchment and delta. Someone is saying B, which is a net irrigation requirement. Vikash, I think you've given it. Okay, never mind. Okay, so the right answer for this is delta, right? Delta is the right answer. So let me just explain to you what are the other options. Okay, so here I've just, to make it more simpler, I've just given a definition so it can be much more easier for you all. Okay, so please don't forget to take maybe a screenshot of these as well right now, and maybe keep on jotting down the notes, whatever important things that you will find that you haven't read. Okay, so okay, so let's just go off with our first um, this one term, which is consumptive use. It is the amount of water which is required by the crop for its vegetative growth. Okay, for example, to evapotranspiration and building of the plant tissues, plus transpiration from the soil and intercepted precipitation. Okay, it is expressed in terms of depth of water, right? But we have net irrigation water, or the net irrigation water requirement. It is also known as NIWR. It is a quantity of water which is necessary for the crop growth, right? And the catchment here is, the catchment is an extent or an area of land where surface water from rain and melting snow or ice converges to a single point. Right, and they usually exist on the basin where the water joins another water body, such as river, lake, reservoir, estuary, wetland, sea, or ocean. And the fourth one here is on delta. So this delta is the total depth of water which is required by the crop during the entire cropping period in the field, and it is known as delta. So here I've just given equation through which you can calculate a delta, right? So total depth of water required is number of it's called the number of watering into depth of watering. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to give an example of a rice. So if a rice needs um, needs a depth of say about 10 centimeter, okay, and it needs an interval irrigation period of about 12, right? Sorry, 10 centimeters, sorry, of 10 again. Let me just carry it out for you. Okay, so let me just rephrase. The depth, we need about 10 centimeter interval, 10 centimeter. Okay, and if it needs total cropping period of the rice is 120. So if these are given, then if they tell you to calculate the delta, right, then what you can do here is that just roughly the total watering number, we need to find out the total watering number would be 120 days, which is the cropping period, divided by the uh, the interval, which makes about 12. Okay, and after that we can just calculate the total depth of water. The depth of water was already given, which was 10, and so this will be the number of waterings that will be needing. So just simply multiply it and you're just gonna get a total depth of about 120 centimeters. So that's how you calculate the thing. All right, so let me just remove this again, right? So these are a simple equation. Remember that they can just ask anything, so we don't know, right? So just remember the equation as well. Maybe take a screenshot, okay, and try to remember all these terms, because it gets really confusing if you don't revise it again. Okay, so let's just go to our another question. Up to what area do microjets deliver a fine spray? Okay, so they call it, the timer starts now. So let me just roughly tell you what the microjets are. Microjets, these are also a part of this micro irrigation system only. Okay, so that's, I'm gonna get back to you. So let me just wait for you all to answer this if you all have some idea about it. So Nilesh is saying A. We have B, which is 1 meter. Okay. Aniket says 2 meter. All right, so the answer for this, for the microjets, is 2 meter, okay, which is C. Let me just explain to you what these microjets are. Okay, here, let me just bring it down this side. So microjets, these are also a type of micro irrigation system, and these are here in this picture. It's kind of similar to a sprinkler irrigation system, right? And these sprayers, the jets or the sprays, they deliver a fine spray of water for an area of about only 2 meter, okay, radius. Remember that, and which makes it ideal for covering small areas of plants. So here I've also given for what other crops these are most suitable for. These are also suitable for the larger flower beds, borders, vegetable patches, nurseries, and greenhouses. All right, and they cover small areas rather than individual plants. Right, so since it covers a meter, 2 meters, so it's gonna cover at least about a small area, right, but not so big as the sprinkler systems, right? And these microjets and spray systems, they are quicker to install, and these are, see, remember one point, these are most cost efficient than the drip irrigation system, but in terms of water, these are less efficient than the drip irrigation system. Okay, so let's just quickly go to our next question, our 7th question here. Okay, the irrigation method which is used commonly for the fruit crops. All right, so your time starts now. Please answer. People are talking about a COVID virus. Okay. All right. So this comes under surface irrigation methods. Okay, surface irrigation. Remember, before in the first question we discussed about different types of irrigation under the surface irrigation. So here we're gonna break it down again, and we're gonna explain one go, one by each. Okay. Neelish is saying ring, basin, and drip, drip, ring, basin, and drip. Okay. We have drip, drip, drip. Mm-hmm. All right. So here I think here the picture says it all. It's like a ring check basin, right? So the right answer for this is actually a modified basin, which can be known as a ring basin. It's actually a modified form of this basin method. Okay. So we got confused with drip irrigation because it is also an efficient method for orchards and fruit trees, right? But the thing is that like drip irrigation is very high cost effective, like costly, and for like a large big orchards, which is not usually adapted by the unless they get subsidies or help from the government, then only they go for this irrigation for like in large farms. Other than that, like the very small marginal farmers, our day-to-day farmers, they cannot afford this, so they usually go for this modified basin method of orchard of fruit crops. I asked about the most commonly used, not the most better way of like using. Okay, so so here let me just explain to you. Go to the next slide, and we'll go to all of it. Right. So here I've just given a rough diagram about different kinds of surface methods. Right. So it's good to I think it's very important to understand all of these methods. It can get a bit confusing, and you should know what other methods are. So these are all under surface irrigation method, remember. Okay. And furrows, we have furrows as the name suggests. So basically, suppose this is a usually we will grow a plant in a raised bed like this, and the furrow, this will be the furrow. Okay, so and then we have a normal line of water. From there we can the water will be grown through will be distributed along the furrows or the ridges, right? So these are furrows, furrow method of irrigation. And we have a border strip. A border strip we have, let me just clear this out for you quickly. So a border strip method is also a type of method where we have a couple or number of parallel lands where we have it's distinct, or it's divided by or with the help of a border or a small boundary like a channel, tank, or type. Okay, so here the water is going through it's flooded through here, and in this way it is given into every sorry in this way it's given into this border strip method, so in that way they can be irrigated. So we have corrugations. Corrugations are nothing but a finer furrows of these are nothing but a finer furrows. Okay, so we have a check basin, and the check basin, the land is actually subdivided into very small, different lands. Okay, a piece of land, small units of land, and all of these units of land is here in this small unit of land. All of the water is irrigated separately. As you can see in the picture, the arrow is also given here. Suppose if the water is coming from here, then all of the water is going to be given like separately for each unit of land, right? So these is the main thing for this check basin. And border ditch is more like a border strip, but here the outlet is mostly the inlet is mostly one, but out here in border ditch different here is that the inlet is more. Okay, so these are the main difference of these types of irrigation system, right? So let's just understand what this modified basin system is. This modified basin is the most practiced and beneficial method for orchard sorry, just give me a second. For orchard irrigation, let me orchard irrigation. This method is useful in level fields. Here, the channel is prepared in between two plants rows. Small channels are made to connect to a circular basin around the plant as in basin system. Okay, it's just like the basin system, but here we have a circular in a circular way, right? And with the central water channel, right? The radius of the plant basins is increased at regular intervals to meet the growing needs of the fruit crop. So as the fruit trees gradually become to like gradually gets bigger, even the surface area for that check for this basin system also increases. Okay, so let's and just like just say here this is an example of a modified basin system. It's also called as like a ring based system as well. Okay, so here the supply channel or the supply of the water is coming here, and then it's going to be going to another one ring type of basin, right? And here the water is irrigated. Okay, let's go to our eighth question. Our eighth question is consider the following statements on direct irrigation method. Your the timer starts now. Please read all of these statement properly and answer it. Okay. Yes, check basin is also mostly used and practiced type of irrigation. I think Nilesh is like, we need to give a heads up for Nilesh. He's doing really awesome. One and two only. See. All right, so the right answer for this is actually 1 and 3. Okay, and so let me just, this is 1 and 3, so it's number C, which is 1 and 3. So let us understand what this direct irrigation is. Okay, so before going to the direct irrigation, these irrigation projects, I think I'm not really sure. I think it also came in the for the phase one exam, okay, on this minor irrigation, right? So I think, okay, so this irrigation project is basically broadly classified into, on the basis of this cultural command area, it is divided into three, which is the major, we have major, we have medium, and we have minor. Okay, so major, it is when the area is more than 10,000 hectares. And for medium, it's between 2,000 to 10,000. And for minor, it's less than 2,000. Right, I think this was the question that came. I'm not really sure, but all right. So yeah. So other than this, for this major and medium, they are also subdivided into, or maybe classified into two, which is this direct irrigation method and indirect irrigation method. Okay, so this indirect, let us understand what this direct irrigation method is. Direct irrigation method, in this method, the water is directly diverted from the river into the canal by the construction of a diversion structure like weir or barrage. I don't know whether you can see, let me just clean it up. Across the water stream without attempting to store water. Okay, so here in direct method, it is directly converted without storage or any of that sort. And this method is practiced where the stream has adequate perennial supply. The direct irrigation is usually practiced in deltaic straits, that is, in areas having an plain topography. All right, so suppose this is direct irrigation, we cannot have the direct flow of the water from the source, right? So suppose, for example, if we take in a hilly region or an undulated region, it's impossible for the water to flow straight forward. So in this way, like this is mostly commonly practiced in the plain topography or in a plain or a flat land. And indirect or the storage irrigation method, in this method, the of system, sorry, water is stored in a reservoir during monsoon by construction of a dam across the river, right? And the stored water is diverted to the field through a network of canals during the dry period. And evidently, the indirect irrigation is adopted where the river is not perennial or flow and the river is inadequate during the lean period, right? So these is the major difference between this direct and indirect method of irrigation. Okay, so our ninth question here is, which of the following is the most critical stage of irrigation for wheat under the limited supply of water? Right, so your time starts here. CRI, Nilesh is saying D, which is CRI. We have CRI, Vaishali saying CRI, Anurag is also saying D. We have Nilesh Rathore saying A. Dave is saying C. And Harshal, crown root initiation, Akhilesh is CRI. So yeah, I think all of you guys got it correct except for, say, Dave, who said C, which is a heading stage. Unfortunately, the right answer is CRI, right? And right, let's just understand what this thing is. The CRI stands for the crown root initiation. If you're asking what a crown is adventitious root. Okay, so that's basically I think I don't have to break it down. I don't have to explain what an adventitious root is for you all. I think it's self-explanatory. Okay, right. So under the limited supply of water for the following irrigation, the schedule of irrigation should be for the best adopted utilization for available quantity of water. All right, so the first one is where only one irrigation is possible, then we'll have to give it to the crown root initiation or the CRI stage at 20 to 25 days after sowing. Where two irrigation are available, first irrigation should be given at CRI stage and second flowering stage. And where three irrigation are possible, first irrigation should be given at CRI stage, second at late jointing or the boot stage, all right, and the third at the milk stage. So basically, if we can provide a normal irrigation schedule for them, then it can be like we can give for like 5 times of irrigation. Okay, but then this is actually specifically under like when we have limited supply. But then the best or the most important critical stage is the CRI stage, right? So that tops all of these. So that's why that answer CRI was right. Okay, here I've just given some of the name of the crops. I've only selected cereals, but don't forget to check out the pulses of the vegetables and the fruits. Okay, and the rest of the crops as well, right? But here I've given on, just give me a second. Okay, here I've given on cereals and the critical stages. For the rice, it's on tillering, panicle initiation, head and flowering. Wheat is crown root initiation, which is the CRI, and tillering to booting as well. Sorghum, we have booting, blooming. We have a milky dough stage. We have for maize, we have silking and tasseling to dough stage. And pearl millet, we have heading and flowering. And finger millet, we have primordial initiation and flowering. Okay, so these are some of the, if you're trying to remember, try to take a screenshot of this. Okay, that way you'll be able to revise it later on, right? Okay, so let's go to our 10th question. Our 10th question here is on the type of irrigation in which field is divided into smaller unit areas so that each has a nearly level surface, ridges, and constructed around the areas. This is basically a really easy, I think I've already explained it in the previous previous explanation as well. So your time starts, I'm just gonna give it for like 30 seconds. Anurag is saying B. Everyone is saying B, B, B. Yep. All right, so let me just stop it there, right? Right, so the right answer here is, I think all of you guys got it correct, and it is check basin irrigation, okay? And let us just very rough important points on check basin irrigation. So it is the most common method, right? And here the field is divided into smaller units area so that each has a nearly level surface. Okay, so the bunds or the ridges, they are constructed around the area forming basins which the irrigation water can be controlled so that the overflowing doesn't happen. Okay, and the water applied to the desired depth can be retained until it infiltrates the soil. Okay, so remember this one. So actually it's meter square. The size of the basin varies from 10 to 25 meters square depending upon the soil type, topography, stream size, and crop. So questions also can come on these of the size of this basin, right? So, okay, well, that's all for today. That's all for today, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this session with me. I hope it was productive, and I hope you learned something new, or maybe it was a great revision for you all if you have already knew the answers for this, or if you've known about this irrigation. So we'll be meeting for the next session for most probably by tomorrow. I'll be giving a session on soil. Oh, sorry, on seeds. So basically, we're not gonna do all these things again. Okay, so we're just gonna like roughly explain the whole chapter. I'll be explaining or highlighting the important points which you have to study. So please share, tell your friends, whoever is going to join us in our session, whoever is going to give a session for us, so that we'll all be able to discuss properly, and then we'll be able to prepare well for our upcoming phase 2 exam, right? So that's all for today. It was really a great session with you all. Tomorrow it's going to be mostly by the same time, 5 o'clock, right? So if you guys have any doubts, don't forget to drop by the comment section. And yeah, so thank you. And we'll be meeting for the next session.